Hey everybody, it's Jimmy, Bill, and Ange. So listen, we had a part one of we were talking about Los Angeles 2.0, what it's going to be like, and I'll link it below. If you're skipping over this to part two, make sure you watch part one also. Basically, because of the fires and everything that's going on, people are talking about the Marshall Plan. They're talking about what Los Angeles is going to be like, how fast could they get things together for the Olympics, and that's what we're talking about today. And we had a lot of interesting conversations about on part one of this video of what people want. And one of the big theories is a lot of people are talking about the Los Angeles 2.0 like it's been planned for years, okay? And I'm not trying to create a conspiracy theory or repeat what people are saying, but there's a wish list going on, and that's what we were talking about. So, guys, let me go back a little bit and just do a little bit of recap. So, basically, people are saying that the new home should be eco-friendly, fire-resistant, enhanced green spaces, smart city technology, solar-powered. This is on the wish list. Vertical gardens, so high-rise buildings covered with vertical gardens to increase greenery to improve air quality. Okay. Water retention system, advanced systems to collect and store rainwater for fire prevention and irrigation. Electric only transportation. Okay.
That's the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
That's going to be hard to reach. Yep.
Fire break corridors, so they're having fire break lines. Community energy hubs, underground utilities, modernized public transit. And I keep going through the wish list. But like Ange was talking about, like in the past fire on the last one where we left off about there was a fire and you said they got there within minutes?
Within minutes, and I'm talking about don't get me wrong. If it would have got out of control, it could do some damage. But they were there in no time. They even had a helicopter and doused it within minutes. And I'm talking about houses that are, it was like by the West Hills. If you know where the West Hills fire was that just happened, that's where I'm out by. And they would take care of it. And I'm going back several years, so it's not like this was last year or the year before. But it would be put out in rather fast. And this time when they had the Palisades fire, somebody reported it at 10:28 in the morning, and people could see it, and it made the local news. And the fire department didn't respond to it for I don't even know how long, another 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was. But by that point, it really grew. And you already knew the winds were going to whip up. You knew certain things were in play for that week. And in the past, they've always been on top of it. So I really have to wonder, what was the thinking behind all of this? Because there was one news report of a block in the Palisades where I'm almost sure it was either Palisades or Eaton, one or the two. I might get myself confused here. There was a fire station on the same block as the houses. And that whole entire block burnt down. Meanwhile, there's a firehouse right there.
Hey, so Bill, let me ask you a question. I was just watching the news on the fires, and they were talking to a fire chief or somebody, and they said when they hook up to the fire hydrants, most of them just didn't have any water. And then, they were talking about hey, it's not our responsibility as the firemen to make sure that there's water there. Doesn't fire departments have to test these fire hydrants?
No. So the way it depends on your municipality. So the water department's job is to maintain the water systems. That water that's in the fire hydrants, obviously LA could be completely different. I don't know. But at least the fire hydrants down here and everywhere else that I've been to in the country for fire trainings and seminars and things, it's the same water that you and I drink out of. They're the same water mains. Mm-hmm. It's no different because when we test the hydrants, we usually get a phone call or two that we've stirred up some sediment. When we test the 5-inch.
You blast in the lines, yeah.
Yeah, they get a little. People are like, "Oh, I got sediment in my water." But for us in my previous jurisdiction, we the water department was responsible for testing the hydrants. We used to test the hydrants, but the water department has a division for that. So the way it worked before is we'd go out and we'd test the hydrant. We'd do a static pressure test, make sure both lines had, everything came off, the steamer cap came off, the 2.5s came off, and we would open it all the way up, close it down, and grease the line, grease the caps. If there was anything wrong with it, stiff stem, broken stem, we would write it up and send it to the county, and then we would bag it and tag it. So we would have a tag that would go on top of the cap, and then we would bag the hydrant. It's pretty standard pretty much wherever you go for the most part. But the water department is responsible for making water from point A to point B, not us as the fire department.
So how is this such a big failure of so many fire hydrants being down at the same time? So I could see one or two, but some people are saying like most of them were down or the reservoirs were empty. I mean, how is it even
right? The
possible?
reservoir was 100% empty.
Right. So if your reservoir is empty, that I would be willing to bet, Ange, that reservoir is to augment the pressure. Regular water. It's not 100%, because then if that thing was dry for a year, from whatever I heard on the news, then nobody would have water in any of the houses. So that's probably, for more of a demand setup, just like you see the water towers.
Yeah, it's for the pressure, so that the normal pressure doesn't drop to where it's dripping in your house.
Right.
You're substituting. You're getting water from somewhere else also. Yeah.
Right. You only have so much. It's called head pressure, the water moving through the line. And eventually, if everybody opens their faucet up, then there's no more pressure, and the water just doesn't go through the line because it just trickles out.
So that's what I was curious, Bill. When Biden was talking to Newsom, and he was in the Oval Office, and they were doing video call and stuff. He says, "Well, the reason why the fire hydrants weren't working is because the power company had to shut down the power, so they wouldn't start more fires. And when you shut off the power, it shuts off the pumps. Is the system set up like that?"
Yeah. But typically they have a backup system. So now we're talking widespread fires. But if the water, so how like in a hurricane for us, they say make sure you have water, to drink and use the toilet and all this, that, and the other for like 7 days. Really, you should have it. I mean, I know they say it's a little less, but 7 days is a good round number. That's because if the water either gets contaminated or the pumps go down. So we have pumps in Pinellas County, and if they go down, then the water's not going to move.
Yeah, but the basin, the reservoir basin up there is built on gravity. So it's really just it's just a gate to open it to let it flow. Yeah,
right. But they didn't have a basin
because they were fixing it, but it was supposed to be. They were told it was supposed to be between, I think it was 3 to 7 or 8 months to like repair whatever it was inside it, and it turned out that it was already into like the 14th month. Like nothing was done to it. It was a bunch of like tarps laid at the bottom, and it was totally empty the whole time. I find it hard to believe that like nobody in the fire department knew that thing was empty that long. Like if I told you, hey, you're the captain of the fire department, I'm like, hey, we got to empty out Basin 23. Going to take us 3 months to blah, blah, blah. You're going to be like, all right, we have to figure out a contingency plan. Where else are we getting water from? And then in 3 months, you're going to come back and say, hey, Andy, is it fixed? Are you filling it again? Because we can't go on like this. Nobody asked anybody any questions.
Right. So typically, like for us,
they're going to do an investigation. I hope they do a really.
Oh, but it's what you're going to find out that nobody is responsible for anything. That's how California operates. It's because it's only one party rule. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so that was my other subject. One party rule. A lot of people are saying that it's going to flip. A lot of people.
Wait. It's gonna. Rick Caruso, he was the guy that ran against Bass, who's now the mayor, right? You take a woman now. I'm not trying to disparage this woman at all. She's a doctor, like a medical doctor. She's smart, and then she got into politics. But politics is politics. Sometimes you're just the face, and there's 10 people behind you actually running what goes on. So. Like, they didn't want Rick Caruso to come in. Rick Caruso was a contractor. He built a lot of Los Angeles. I mean, the high-rises, hotels, houses. This guy knows his stuff backwards, upside down, and forwards. And we're not just talking real estate. He knows about all of it. The electric grid, the water grid. He knows everything, how it goes down. And he was running against her. And she was the face of, them, the Democratic Party, because he's the Republican guy. And she won. They get their constituents, which is like, let's just say, certain people, groups of people they know they can go get to vote. And that's all they need. Because a lot of people in Los Angeles do not vote. They'll vote for president, but they don't vote for mayor.
So do you think there's a possibility that because I saw a map of California and most of it is red, but the urban sections like L.A. County and all that stuff is blue.
Well, the only part of California that I could probably say is actually red is Orange County.
Right, but when you look at it, okay, I don't know if they're accurate, the maps, but it just seems like a lot of it is red, but
It's
the
not.
urban areas are blue.
I mean, there's sporadic spots, but when you get to like let's call it the power broker places, like Los Angeles, it's all blue. Then you go to like San Francisco, it's all blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but do you think that those areas, San Francisco, since the fires weren't there, probably not, but do you think LA could flip to...
LA could definitely get a Republican mayor, but that's about as far as it'll go, and it may happen for like 1 or 2 terms. Like, put it this way, I love California just because it's a nice state. Like, it's beautiful landscapes,
Yeah, I've been
amazing,
there you lived there for many
weather.
years.
Yeah, amazing weather. But the people there, they're the dumbest you'll come across in the universe.
That's Angie's opinion.
No, they really are. I mean, there are some
totally
stupid
Angie's
people
opinion.
there. No, because look, they've been voting for the same garbage over and over and over and over. I mean, these are the people that voted to raise the limit that if you're going to steal, let's make it $990 or $932, whatever it was.
So anyways, everybody that's watching this video, Angie's from Los Angeles, so he can speak like that. I've never lived there. I visited plenty of times, but that's his opinion on the people of Los Angeles. When I was there, I ran into a lot of nice people.
Oh, they're very nice people, but just people are like, you're talking about just like they're ignorant to what's going on around them.
But
and they just follow the flow.
Do you think the opinions are going to change now?
Honestly, maybe for like the next 48 hours kind of example. Not meaning 48 hours literally, meaning, it's like, oh, look what happened. We need to do something. And then let's come back in a year and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And it just might be business as usual.
Bill, what do you think L.A. County, Palisades, Malibu, all that place is going to look like 5 years from now, in your opinion? We already know Angie's opinion is going to be just poles sticking out of the ground.
Well, I don't disagree to an extent. I mean, there's going to obviously, logic would say that you're not going to rebuild the Palisades in 5 years completely from start to finish.
10 years?
I don't think it's going to be just a giant pile of sticks, but I'm thinking that, it's going to take a little while to get things built. You got to start with the cleanup first, infrastructure, then you can start building back the houses. It's going to be a development project. I mean, Sarbaroff, right? Steve Sarbaroff, they brought him in. He's like a civic leader, developer, and he's leading the charge on this.
I don't know.
I don't know who that is now, but
yeah.
you might be 100% correct. But then again, it's
he was the former police commissioner. I'm looking it up right now.
So you're bringing in somebody that's really got no understanding of anything.
Yeah, but it's such
hang on. Wait.
Okay.
Let me read what he is first.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Sarbaroff is a real estate developer and longtime civic leader. He'll serve as the chief recovery officer for the city. Former police commissioner, President Steve Sarbaroff will lead the first phase of the city wildfire rebuilding effort.
Does it got a D next to his name anywhere there?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
So
I'm only reading the article.
But don't you guys
Sarbaroff,
think
a real estate developer, longtime civic leader. Yeah, basically saying the same thing over and over.
How do you go from a real estate developer to becoming the police commissioner? You get what I'm trying to say?
Maybe he was a police commissioner. He looks to be a little bit older, so I'm thinking he was probably a cop and then switched over to the other side.
So no, it is. He's a good old boy, and like you need some. You need no. I mean, he's part of the party. You know what I'm saying? Because he's probably a Democrat, and he's been a Democrat his whole life, and he's there, and he'll play ball with them any way they want. You literally need to shake that place up. Like the U.S. government should come in and say, here's what's going down. We're going to pick who runs your country, your state. We're going to pick who your mayor is. Like, put an overseer in. Like, until this place gets straightened out, this is how it's got to happen. Because if you're going to sink that kind of money into that place, it's only going to go back to politics as usual.
Well, I think if Biden was continuing to be president, they would get a lot of money.
They get a fortune.
they get fortunate. But I think with Trump there, he's going to put some brakes on some safeguards on there. But I don't understand why they're calling it, like people are saying, oh, we're going to declare martial law in areas. And now there's the Marshall Plan. Why use the word martial? You know, it makes it sound so bad.
Well, put it this way. I mean, they have been having a lot of robberies, like people coming in and, stealing stuff. But, you got to sort through the burnt ashes to find anything. But the craziest thing is like the Palisades is just one, I'll call it a little piece. It's a neighborhood, but it's off to the side where you got to remember everything else is still functioning. Like it's totally functioning. Like my mother just got back, yesterday from LA, and before they left, they were, over in West Hollywood out to dinner at nice restaurants, stuff like that. And it's not like, places are all closed down like the way it was in COVID when everything was closed. No, the only place that's not in business is the Palisades area or up in Glendale by,
but they're saying it's a big enough area to do experiments like climate adaptive policies, zoning laws, and city planning focusing on climate reliance to prevent similar disasters in the future. They said it's a good slate to try that,
No, it's not.
But this is what the articles are saying.
Put it this way, California, a number of years ago, when Obama was president, the U.S. government gave a lot of money to build like solar factories, to start making solar panels out of there. And all that went to bust. Then it was like, hey, let's bring in the electric cars. And the place can't even, produce enough electricity to keep air conditioners running all year round.
Okay, with that said, I'm gonna read off their wish list, and all I need is yes or no answers from you guys, each one of you, and tell me if you think it will happen. Okay.
And I found out what the Marshall Plan is and where it came from.
All right, what is it?
So it was a U.S.-backed initiative. It was called the Marshall Plan in 1942 to help Europe rebuild its communities after the war.
Oh. So why do they call it martial law? Like when there's something like
now I got to look up something else.
It's probably like something like a general marshal was the guy who, some general named Marshall probably oversaw it.
Probably. All right. So Ange, when I'm asking these questions, you just have to say it's going to happen, yes or no. You don't have to go into a complete explanation.
Go for it.
Eco-friendly urban design. You think they're going to accomplish that?
No.
Bill?
No.
Eco-friendly?
Not 100%. They'll do something, but it won't be crazy.
Fire-resistant buildings?
No.
Possibly. Only because of some of the architecture could be designed to help resist fire, but...
I got a definition. So, like they said, structures designed with fire-resistant materials such as concrete, steel, and special treated wood. All right.
You're talking serious money. But anyway, so like I said, maybe. I'm going with maybe.
What about this one? Enhanced green spaces, expansive parks, urban forest designed to act like a natural fire break and provide recreation.
No.
Yeah. I see something like that. They'll make parks.
No, they won't, because that means you're giving up real estate that you could tax on.
All right. Smart technology, integrated systems for real-time monitoring of weather and fire conditions, enhanced safety and response.
No.
Like cameras all over the place, all that stuff.
Oh, they'll have the camera. Well, actually, no, it's funny. I know you don't want me to go on about this. No. They, like, you know how we have red light cameras in certain parts of the country? New York, maybe Florida has them. I don't know. Red light cameras in California are illegal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't go. They don't exist. I mean, they did exist at one point, and then some lawyer took them to court over it because the Constitution gives you the right to question your accuser, and you can't question an electronic camera.
Yeah, I think they originated in California.
Yeah, so they got rid of them. So, but people will scream about that. So I say no on that too.
Bill?
Yeah, I don't see him doing anything crazy with cameras.
All right, what about this? Solar-powered infrastructure. Solar panels on every rooftop, powering homes and reducing reliance on traditional energy sources.
Can I just... It'll never happen, but can I just tell you one little thing? Several years ago, notice this is all about California. This will prove why it won't happen.
Okay.
Several years ago, like we're talking like maybe like say about 10, give or take, right? the solar powers are a big initiative in California. Like put them on your roof, and they would give you money. Like we'll buy the excess electricity back from you. And everyone was saying like you'll be off the grid, this, that, and the other thing. Well, it turned out they were correct. And then the Department of Public Works, so the LADWP, realized that their money started going like this. So then they said, hey, now you got to pay a grid hookup, right? So now you got to pay, like, say, $60 a month to make sure you're hooked up to the grid, even though you're not using our electricity.
They do that here.
And then it got to the, like, you know, the buyback where we're buying it back. No. You're paying us to now take it. So,
wow.
no, yeah.
All right, so you guys don't think that. How about this one? Vertical gardens, high-rise buildings covered with vertical gardens to increase greenery, improve air quality.
Well, no again.
No, okay, all right. Water retention system, advanced system to collect, store rainwater for fire prevention and irrigation.
No.
Bill?
Buckets aren't hard to make. Big, giant buckets. That's really...
Yeah, the whole thing is, you know, I kept saying that on Malibu, why don't they use the ocean water to do it? And people said that the salt content does more damage than a fire. I mean, come on, how does that? And they said it doesn't cool as fast as fresh water.
What? Well, it is true that salt water doesn't cool down it because salt water can, I think, absorb more heat, if I'm correct. So but it won't destroy the land. Like you could run salt water through a fire truck and it won't rust it.
Well, they're saying that the soil, it'll kill agriculture.
Well, it will at first because it dries it out, but then it just over time, all that salt goes down.
So do you think they will have water retention systems?
Well, put it this way, they have them now and they don't work.
All right. Electric only transportation.
No.
Bill?
No, come on. 100% electric only transportation is what we're talking about.
And that's
Streets dominated by electric cars, bikes, scooters, and extensive charging
That's actually
network.
very dangerous. You know, because all you need is one of those, you know, batteries to blow up. But not only that, what happens, like, I have no problem. Never buy a 100% electric car. You could buy a hybrid where it's, you know, 50-50 or whatever you want to call it. But the battery eventually is going to run out. Say you had to get out of there because of this fire. And you get stuck in traffic on the 405, and there goes your electric gauge. Now you can't get charged. But if you had gas...
Fire break corridors.
Explain,
that they'll do.
Well,
Okay, fire break corridors.
explain that, Bill. What's a fire break corridor?
Design areas of open land to prevent fire spread. Is there room in the Palisades to do that?
Well, it's hilly, so that's the problem. I mean, like you know,
Right,
it's
but
all
they already
mountains.
had fire breaks in the hills. They just didn't maintain it. From what I'm
It wasn't
reading, they
maintained.
didn't maintain them.
The forestry.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think the forestry is going to now? They're going to put money into the forestry management.
They're going to have
Right, but
to.
that would have solved a lot of issues in the first place.
time.
I mean, you see it around here. That's why they do, you know, the controlled burns and forestry management stuff.
They were
to
doing
keep
one by me
everything
today.
clean.
They're doing
Yeah.
one
They can
literally
put
by
all-
me.
You think they're going to put all the utilities underground? That's on their wish list.
That would be smart, but how do earthquakes handle that?
That's kind of where I was thinking. Like, it makes sense, but like I know from the power guys that we've talked to here during storms and stuff when I was still on the job, they like it because it doesn't break. You know, so you're only dealing with the pockets where the transformers were and the transfer stations and such. But they said it's much more difficult to locate broken things. Now, this is a while ago, so I'm sure they've got better technology and things like that. But it's just, they said it takes more time to repair and find issues when they're underground.
Yeah, that's the whole thing is, you know, when the fiber optics gets cut, that's under the Atlantic Ocean, like in hundreds of feet of water or whatever, they could find it where it's cut, you know, between continents. It's crazy. So I'm assuming if they could find that, they could find it, you know, underground here. All right.
Yeah.
Resilient landscape and native to drought-resistant plants dominating public and private lands. So them coming in, telling everybody what they can plant and what they can't plant.
Most people, it's called succulents. So it's like, think of like cactus, stuff like that. Most people there have that on their property. It's the fact that you have a lot of pine trees and oak trees and high growing grass. That's what creates the fire, not
Well,
the
they should
plants.
bring goats in.
Now that's funny that you mentioned that because you could go look this up. The Reagan Library out in Simi Valley brought in goats to eat all the grass that was around their place.
Yeah. What about this one? This is on their wish list. Advanced air filtration, buildings equipped with cutting-edge air purification systems to combat wildfire smoke.
No, never
Oh
happened.
my God, no. So let's see if I get this straight. We're going to have a great air filter, but the building's going to burn down around us, but we can breathe until we burn up.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I can breathe. It's all good.
And there's like another 30 things on the list. But at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, in 5 years, there'll be not much built, but it'll be all cleaned up. But within 10 years, there'll be more efficiency homes, better built to new codes. Like over here during the storms, the hurricanes, now in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s, we were building ranches. Now, if we want to build along the coast, we have to be on stilts. I think something like that's going to happen there in California. But I think it's going to be 10 years before it kind of feels back to normal.
Well, put it this way, it'll never feel normal because it'll never be what it was. Now it's going to have to be like to the point where change the name of the place. It's no longer called the Pacific Palisades. Call it like,
Did all the houses
Unveiled.
burn on Malibu Beach?
Yeah, everything's gone.
So like the 2.5 Man house that they keep.
Yeah,
they
those,
filmed.
well, house doesn't even exist.
No, but I'm talking about, in the opening credits?
Against the that island doesn't exist. That's not real. But there is an island kind of similar to that, but that one in the TV show doesn't exist.
Right, but I'm just saying, the whole right now. Before, when you're driving past those houses, I drove past those houses. I couldn't see the ocean.
No,
now
and all those are gone now.
Wow.
Maybe there could be maybe one or two on the opposite side that might still be standing because the winds kind of blew everything around it. But all that area is just destroyed. Put it this way. In my personal view, there should have never been houses built on the beach side of PCH. That should have just always stayed open. So when you're driving down, you get the nice vistas, the views, and that's how it should have always been. It should have been, everything west of that, east of that could have been built on.
Were those beaches private?
Yes, that's another problem because those people would now, technically, I can't say technically or not 100% on the ruling, but they're supposed to have access. So if you were walking along, you could have access and you could actually sit down and do whatever. But some of those people there were so in their own heads because they had money or whatever that they would be like, get off my beach, and they'd put stakes in the ground. And then you'd have to go call the cops to come down, and the police would tell the people, they're allowed to walk back and forth. They can swim in the water here. You have to give that right of way. You don't own this. But they would swear they did. You had a lot of that going on out there. A lot.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you guys don't think a lot of lawsuits, a lot of...
Going to be a lot. Well, you know what I think is actually going to happen, in all honesty? You got to remember, if you took 100% and we just cut it in half, 50, there's 50% of people who probably have the money to do something, right? And then there's the 50% that don't have the money to do anything, that just have to take their losses and move on. And I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to leave the area. Now, I'm not saying they're moving.
They did a survey of people that got burnt out, and almost 60% right now are saying that they're going to relocate. They're not going to stay in the area.
Yeah, but which means they could go to Santa Monica, they could go to the Valley, they could go to Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
But there are going to be people that are literally going to leave the state. I don't know how many that is.
Yeah, we
but
talked about that in, two videos ago.
Yeah, they're going to go to Texas or Nevada or even Florida, because they're going to be able to. But then there's a lot of people that are really a rock and a hard place, man. They got nowhere to go. And we're only talking about.
By the way, we're going to be doing a video, and everybody needs to subscribe to watch the video. Do you know that Florida and Texas got dethroned? The number one place to move to right now is South Carolina, according to the new U-Haul report.
And you know what? Good. Let him go to South Carolina. We don't need the traffic here. We got enough problems.
Everybody watching this video, do me a favor, especially if you're from California like Ange, put in the comments below what you think is going to Los Angeles 2.0 is going to look like, and do you still think that they're going to be ready for the Olympics? When's the Olympics?
2028?
Yeah, so it's not that long. I mean, they have a lot of rebuilding.
Well. See, the one problem you have with the Olympics is I would think that part of the Olympics is going to be out at the Rose Bowl, which is out in Pasadena, and that's where like Altadena is out there, and that place got burnt down. And we're only talking about the Palisades here. We haven't talked about any other place that got totally destroyed. Like
Right.
Altadena is like wiped out, So,
Yeah.
and that was a normal everyday neighborhood where people were like fireman, a cop, a school teacher, just regular everyday people. And that's all gone. I know 2 people that lost their house in Altadena.
Yeah, we're going to do a follow-up video on this. But anyways, that's today's video. Make sure, if you watch part 2 and didn't watch part 1, make sure you look below, the link and watch part 1. We greatly appreciate it. Remember, subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.